Hello everyone, it's Jeff coming to you on a Thursday. Uh, I've been pretty busy listening, watching, commenting, all that other good stuff in the VC. And I think I have enough to make another video. May not be as long as the last one, but hopefully just as enjoyable. Yeah, on Monday it was like 65 here, and then that night it dropped like 30 degrees, so it feels more December-ish now. We actually got our first trace of snow on the ground, so there is hope for Christmas, because I usually like to have a white Christmas, so we'll see. The title of this video, beyond just the goofy spin zone thing that I've thought up that I thought was amusing, may or may not be. I don't know. I have well, let me go back and explain. I got to tell you something about myself. I'm a fan of Mystery Science Theater, which has nothing to do with music or vinyl records. But if you know anything about Mystery Science Theater, it's a show which has returned to Netflix, amazingly, after being off the air 15 years or so. But Mystery Science Theater is a show, for those of you who don't know, where they take a B-movie, bad, horrible movie, and just riff it to death by cracking jokes throughout the whole movie. And it's usually pretty funny and pretty painful at the same time, in a good way. And it just makes me laugh. It's dumb, I know, but it just makes me laugh. So if any of you out there are Misties also, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The reason I tell you that is to explain the point of my title, which is 3 one-hit wonders and a soundtrack. I'm fascinated with one-hit wonders also. And a lot of times if I'm shopping, record shopping, you know, at an estate sale or a store or even online, I'll find, you know, albums where I know the one hit, and I'm always curious about what the rest of that album sounds like, or what that band really sounds like, because I'm fascinated by how certain bands can put it all together for one stellar, glorious track and never reach that high again musically. So I buy those albums because A, they're cheap, so I'm really not investing a lot of money in it. B, I'm hoping to find other gems on that album that maybe might kind of justify the purchase, and more often than not I do. And C, it's made my collection a little more varied, and sometimes it gives something interesting to talk about. I haven't done a ton of research on these bands. I'm just going off of what I know and what I've read in the past, so I could easily get some of this stuff wrong. But I've got 3 one-hit wonders that I just listened to their entire album since Monday, and a soundtrack, which I'll do last. And then I've got a couple of acquisitions to show you. Another one of those Amazon albums that I talked about in my last video arrived, so I'll show that to you too. And it's very dry in the house, so I'm going to be taking drinks of water. Alright. The first one-hit wonder, and these aren't in chronological order, these are just the order that I pulled them and listened to them to. And I showed this album briefly under New Acquisitions a couple weeks ago, I think. This is Martha and the Muffins, and the name of this album is Metro Music. Like I said, it's kind of a weird, slightly boring album cover. There's really, I don't know what the deal is with this back cover. But their one hit was a song called Echo Beach. And this came out, I think, in 1980. And if you know it, it, for me, just symbolizes 1980. It's got that new wavy, electronic-y sound with the drum machines and the slightly robotic singer. She reminds me of like the singer for The Waitresses, you know, that song I Know What Boys Like. It's kind of that flat monotone, that's kind of what it's like here if you've never heard this song. And it's a good song. I can't knock him on that. I wouldn't have picked this up if it wasn't. But the rest of this album is pretty repetitive. I mean, it's okay. There's a few good songs here and there, but overall, you know, you take your chances with this stuff, and that's okay. Like I said, this only cost a couple bucks. This was like a brand new record, maybe because nobody played it. I don't know, or not, maybe not. I'm not trying to be mean, but it was okay. But if you and actually, I don't even know if these count as a one-hit wonder because if I remember correctly, they changed their name to M+M in the mid-'80s, like around '84, and I think they had another hit. So I don't know if this would actually even count them as a one-hit wonder or not. But under the moniker of M+M, they had a song called Black Stations, White Stations. And I know it was a hit up here in Chicago. They played it on XRT an awful lot, and the Saturday morning flashback show, whenever they do 1984, they usually play that song. So I don't know, maybe it was a regional hit, I don't know. But this was just okay. And like I said, it's not like I spent a ton of money. So it was an interesting way to listen to a little bit of variety. The next two albums are actually new acquisitions, but because I saw a sort of a theme going with what I just listened to with Martha and the Muffins, that I jumped them on the list and I listened to them right after I cleaned the record. So this next one is by the Ides of March. I'm pretty sure everybody's heard of the Ides of March. And of course, the name of this album is Vehicle, and it's also the title of their one hit. There's the back cover. If you're like me, you probably mistook this song, Vehicle, as a song by Chicago, because I think this came out, when did this come out? 1970. This is actually a Green Label Warner Brothers record. This is an original copy. And in 1970, Chicago was getting big, and they had that fat horn sound to go along with their music, and I confused them at first. You know, at first I thought it was Chicago, and it wasn't until a little bit later I found out it was a different band. But Vehicle's a great song. I mean, it sounds great coming out of the radio. You know, it's got everything. I mean, it just has hit written all over it. The rest of this album it's better than the Martha album, but they do some weird stuff. They cover Wooden Ships for some reason, the Crosby, Stills and Nash song Wooden Ships, and they try to kind of psychedelicize it slightly. I don't know if you can even make that song any more psychedelic than it already was, but that's kind of what they go for. And the last track, they close out the album, and it takes up almost half the side of side 2, is they do a cover of Eleanor Rigby, and they sing it very slowly and dramatically, and they've got, you know, the horns coming in, and then it gets fast in the middle, and then they slow back down. I'm used to Eleanor Rigby being this kind of, you know, faster, poppier song with a dark topic, and these guys try to make it all dark. But it, like I said, I took a chance, and like I said, it was okay. I should probably add, when I was doing my reasons for buying these albums, I should add D also. At the very least, I know I'll have the one song that I like to listen to and play. So in this case, it would probably be just the title track, but you never know until you listen, right? And finally, or thirdly, out of the one hits. Oh, and before I move on to the next album, I'm pretty sure the Ides of March had another hit, but I don't know if it was a national hit. It was a song. It may have been regional around here. They had a song called "LA Goodbye." I thought it was going to be on this album. I was hoping it would, but it wasn't. It must be on a different album of theirs. But "LA Goodbye" is every bit as good as Vehicle, but it's more mellow and laid back. But if I'm sure it's available on YouTube if you want to stream it and check it out. It's Ides of March, "LA Goodbye." I think Vehicle is probably their big national hit, so there you go. Okay. Third one-hit wonder is by King Harvest. They did the title track here, "Dancing in the Moonlight." And I know these guys look like the Doobie Brothers on the cover. There's the back cover. This was probably the oddest of the three because the title track, "Dancing in the Moonlight," is kind of this, soft little poppy song. It's got the little electric piano in the beginning, and it's all happy. And then the rest of this album is kind of like sludgy rock. It's really weird. There's different vocalists. Different guys take lead. It's a really strange record. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's strange. And it's like you've got in the middle of side one, you've got "Dancing in the Moonlight." So it's a total 180 in style and tone from almost everything else on this album. It sounds like they're trying to be like kind of like Vanilla Fudge, kind of like that hard sludgy rock. And they kind of succeed, I guess. I don't know. But I also bought this because, and this is a total nerd thing, but like I said, I'm a label nerd. I bought this because it's got a cool label, Perception Records. I don't know. I just like that record label. Dumb reason, I know, but what are you gonna do? Yeah. So there's my 3 one-hit wonders. What can I tell you? I like weird things and hopefully finding something better in them, but you don't always. And whatever. One album though that is a classic from front to back, and this is the soundtrack that goes with the title. Hold on, let me straighten something out here. Okay. Is Superfly. Now this is a classic soundtrack. This is a classic album, classic movie too. But I love Curtis Mayfield. Can't get enough of this. And I own this on CD. I think I have the anniversary release of this from probably 10 years ago or so. But I had to have this on vinyl too. This album just screams out to be played on vinyl. So this is a reissue from a couple years ago. But they even recreate the Curtom record label and everything. So it's a classic. I mean, and timeless too. I mean, you can listen to Superfly, the title track, and it sounds as fresh today as it did in '72 when it came out. I mean, it's just a classic. And front to back, this is a great album. I mean, Little Child Running Wild, Pusher Man, Freddy's Dead, Give Me Your Love, the title track, Superfly, stone classic. And I also love how Curtis Mayfield, took this blaxploitation movie and turned it into a treatise on anti-drug. It turned it into like an anti-drug message type of thing. So that's always been cool to me. So I played this the other day, and I love it. I'll be playing this probably till the day I die. This is a great album, Superfly, by the great Curtis Mayfield. And I've got 3 other albums that arrived since my last video. Besides the Ides of March and King Harvest, I also got in that shipment, I finally got a copy of Disraeli Gears by Cream. This was the last one I needed to complete the studio album run of theirs. And it's a reissue from the 70s. It's got this silver RSO label. And the album cover isn't a gatefold. I believe the original was a gatefold. This one isn't. But I'll just show you the back. This is a pretty common one, I think. I think almost everyone has Disraeli Gears. But like I said, I just wanted to have this on vinyl too. And I didn't care what edition or what pressing it was. So I was glad to get that. And I also got another album by Robyn Hitchcock and the Egyptians. This one's called Globe of Frogs. This came out in 1988, I believe, 87, 88. Right around the time I was graduating high school. And Balloon Man is the big track off this song, I believe. Balloon Man. And yeah, I think Peter Buck guest plays on guitar on this, I think, doesn't he? I'd have to check the credits. I'm pretty sure he does. I'm also a big fan of Robyn Hitchcock. Great songwriter, great quirky music. Pretty much almost any album of his is going to have something interesting on it. So, yeah, had to have this one, Globe of Frogs. And the last album that came in, it was one of the Amazon albums that I ordered with that gift certificate. And it's also an album that I saw in one of Billy Hurst's videos, the one that he did on Record Store Day. I watched, he showed this album, and he made it sound real interesting, and I'm a fan of Steve Earle too, so I picked up the Record Store Day copy of El Corazon on Amazon, no less. I know. I didn't think I'd find it there. I took a chance. I searched for it on Amazon, and it popped up. So there's the back cover. So yeah, I grabbed it. I was pretty happy to get this one. I like Steve Earle. He's played on the radio up here, like I said, on XRT a lot, which is pretty much the only decent radio station left in Chicago. And Telephone Road, I think, was the song off of this album that got heavy rotation airplay. So I'm slightly familiar with this album, at least, and it's still in the shrink. Haven't opened it yet, but yeah, I like Steve Earle. I've been a fan of his, since the '80s easily. It's one of those things. I never picked up any of his albums on any format, so this could be the start of a new trend. So El Corazon was my Amazon album number 4. There's still one more to come, and I don't think it's even shipped yet. I think they're waiting on new inventory for it, so we'll see about that. All right, guys, we're closing in on 20 minutes, so it's going to be slightly shorter than last time. Thanks for, as usual, liking, commenting, subscribing. Thanks for tolerating my strange listening habits. I know that the music in this one probably wasn't as good as the last video, but you take your chances when you put the needle down. So that sounded really hokey, didn't it? Yeah. Oh well. I don't edit anything. This is all one take, so whatever runs through my head usually comes out my mouth, and there you go. Okay, guys, I'll be talking to you again soon. Peace out. Take care.